And now we're here in the kitchen with Chef Erick. We're gonna do some cooking with barley, and tell me what we're gonna make.
So we are going to do a cured pork belly. We're going to cure that with fresh barley and dried barley. And then we are going to cook that in barley beer. And then we are going to pair that with this barley risotto and some seasonal vegetables and the salsa verde of nasturtiums.
Nice. Oh, nasturtiums, interesting. So barley every step of the way.
Yep.
And we're gonna start with this barley risotto, but this is not a traditional risotto.
No, this is our version of what risotto could be with different grains.
Okay, all right. So the barley here is already cooked.
Yes, it is. We par it off, so we cook this for around 30 minutes with like 5 cups of water, or you could use veggie stock or any kind of stock, and you're just trying to cook it until it's tender.
Let's get started then.
So first we will add the butter.
That's a great way to start.
Once that's kind of melted, we're going to sweat off the garlic. Not trying to brown any of it. We're just trying to kind of infuse some of that flavor so the barley is flavored a little stronger.
All right. And then the onions?
Yep.
All right.
So we just let that cook then. And we'll get it nice and tender. So next we're going to...
that's all cooked down.
We'll add the barley and use all that.
All right.
We found that this barley in particular, the hulled barley, if you want it kind of sticky like traditional risotto, you can use the pearled.
Okay.
But this, for the application that we're using with the pork, we think it has a little bit better texture, and it's a little more interesting.
All right, really holds up.
Yeah, it won't be as pasty. And then we will deglaze it with some white wine. And we'll kind of let all of the wine cook out from it. So we will season it with the mushroom powder and sumac.
All right, well, I am dying to find out what this tastes like.
You get those kind of notes then?
Yeah, I mean, I can taste the barley, and I love how toothsome it is. It really gives you a great texture, and the mushroom flavor is good, but that sumac, that is a real tartness. I really love that. All right, next step is the pork belly, and you have used barley every step of the way here, so tell me what you did.
As much as possible. So we've cured the pork belly with this mixture of salt. There's raw green barley in there, hard barley, and then we pulse it into this little powder, and then we rub it onto a piece of pork belly.
All right, and what does the rub do for it?
So the rub, with the curing salt and salt in there, will pull out the moisture, which will allow the barley to set into the meat. Okay. It also will tighten up the meat, so when you're eating it, you don't even have to do it on pork, but it will tighten the meat up and give it a little better texture.
And you've got this plastic bag here because you've prepared this to be cooked in a sous vide vat.
Yep. So then we cook it in our sous vide, which we have to do in an oven, but we bake it at like 425 for maybe an hour until it's just nice and braisy tender.
Okay, and that's where we are.
That's where we are here.
And so the next step is to sear that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Just give it a little press down so we can kind of get the crust started.
All right, so the pork belly has rested, and it's time to put all the pieces together.
Yep. Now we will start by putting down some of the nasturtium salsa verde. It would go well with the barley. And then we'll put a piece of this barley cured pork. We get some of our vegetables here. Pretty colors and textures.
And flavors.
These were just cooked in just a little cultured butter and some rock salt. And this is some preserved green garlic. We'll just kind of build piles everywhere. We have some mustards and dills and peas, just kind of what the diet of the hog is. So,
Oh, nice.
that whole idea of where it eats, what it eats, we kind of think it should be paired with it. Yep.
Nice.
Put some of these little pickled mustard seeds.
That barley with the hull, that gives that nice toothsome texture, paired with the tender pork and all of these great vegetables. That is a really innovative way to use barley, and it's beautiful.
Thank
Chef
you.
Erick, thank you. When I think about barley, I don't think about dessert, but we are gonna make a dessert with barley, right?
We are.
What are we gonna make?
So we're going to do a apple pie with 3 components of barley. The first one will be in the crust. It's a sprouted barley crust. So we use barley. You soak it in water overnight, put it in the dehydrator, and you start to see the little sprouts come out.
Okay.
And then we dehydrate that one more time, powder it, and then we make our pastry dough out of that.
All right.
And then we'll also do puff barley, and then we have a barley caramel that will be
Awesome.
drizzled over it. So we're gonna make this apple pie filling.
All right.
We got 3 different varieties. Man, this is whatever you can get at the supermarket. A little bit of salt will help pull out the moisture.
All right.
Some cornstarch will be sort of a thickening agent for it. Sugar, and then cinnamon.
All right.
So and it's very traditional, but it's just those fall flavors that
They may be traditional, but for a reason, because they can't be beat. All right, so that's the filling that will be baked into the tarts. But tell me about this puffed barley. What's this about?
So this is pearled barley.
Okay, and this is the kind of stuff that we've been throwing in soups forever.
Yep.
Okay.
But we overcook the heck out of it. So if you are a good cook or a bad cook, you can't really mess this up.
All right, cook it till it's mush.
Yep.
All right.
And then once it's mushy, we'll rinse it, and then we put it in a dehydrator.
Okay.
Then you can put it in the oven at 150. If you want to let your oven run overnight, and just let it sit there, and then you'll end up with this texture.
Okay.
And it's kind of, it's still a little wet.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to get it, if it's completely dry, you're not going to get the grain to puff. So we'll add a little of this.
All right.
And
So you've got
once you see it starting to come to the surface, we pull it off, and then we'll season it with some cinnamon sugar. We'll probably let this go like a minute.
Okay.
You wait all of the little moisture that is left in there. We want that to completely evaporate.
Nice.
We keep it pretty dry because we'll add a little bit of caramel in here. You can get this from Asian stores and supermarkets, so it's a pretty common ingredient nowadays.
All right. All right, and then they would go in the oven.
Yes.
All right, and for how long?
So we bake it around 350 for 20 minutes. That's in a convection oven, so I mean, you can adjust accordingly for home standard ovens.
All right, and this is what they look like when they come out. That is beautiful.
This is all nice and roasted and glazed. If you want to put a nice handful of, this is just crunchy and adds a nice texture.
Sure.
The caramel will help soften things up
All
too.
right. So we've got the barley, the sprouted barley, along with some AP flour in the crust.
Yep.
We've got the barley caramel, and then the puffed barley.
Yep. It's a whole lot of textures and
Beautiful
tastes of barley.
apple tart. Yeah, let's give that a try. The barley caramel is such an interesting flavor. It's a lovely apple tart, and I do love that crunch on top. Chef Erick, thank you so much.
Thank you.